The leaders did have a very thorough tour of Nouméa. What we understand is that they also had pocket meetings with various members of the community. They did speak with private sector, they did meet with the indigenous community, and they did also meet with representatives of the French government. But a highlight that I did hear from Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka is a tour by air to have a better vantage of the damage done in Nouméa since the May riots. And I spoke to the Prime Minister Rabuka last night, and he had this to say about the kind of damage they witnessed.
We saw it when we arrived, and we saw it again last night as we flew around in a gendarmerie helicopter. And it was sad to see the extent of the damage, and it was fairly evident from what we saw that it was a deliberate targeting of those businesses.
And that was the Fijian Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka. Lice, it was difficult to get permission from France for the tour to even take place, and they insisted it was only for information purposes.
That's right. Ever since the riots in May, the Pacific Island Forum members, as well as the Troika, had made a few advances to the French government and to the administration in Nouméa for a visit. And this was further strengthened leading up to the August meeting of the Pacific Island Forum leaders, who had been preparing to send a Troika mission immediately after that meeting in Nuku'alofa in August. However, that was also delayed. And what we understand is that there were difficulties on the part of the French side as to what exactly it was that the leaders of the Pacific were there to do. But what we do know is that since the meeting has taken place, quite a lot of conversations are now happening in capitals of the Pacific as to what exactly the Pacific Island Forum can do to get both the indigenous New Caledonians and the French government to the table.
Yeah, and there's also been suggestions that the Australian-backed Pacific Policing Initiative could be deployed to New Caledonia as a peacekeeping measure. What's been the reaction to that?
Well, as of this afternoon, when we did manage to get through to the French embassy in Canberra, we understand that the French are not too excited about the idea of a Pacific police presence or Pacific security presence of any kind in Nouméa. The words, I think, that the French ambassador used were the French is capable of conducting its own security and defense measures in its French overseas territories. However, it is clear from our conversations with insiders in the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat here in Suva, as well as in our interviews with the Forum past Chair Mark Brown and Prime Minister Rabuka, that this is something that is on the table. The Pacific Island Forum, Vulvale, would like to reach out to its brothers in New Caledonia and offer some sort of peacekeeping force to help with the troubles there, Grish.
And what is the feeling on the ground in New Caledonia? What are people saying?
A false sense of calm. Those were the words said to the team that has been working on this story over the last few days. The presence of some 6,000 strong French troops in Nouméa is keeping the peace in the territory at the moment. But what we do understand from speaking with the prime ministers who were in the territory on the weekend is that there is still a lot of frustration. There are a lot of people that are looking to the French government for a more open and a more conciliatory approach to their calls for decolonization and self-determination.
And Lice, also a big development in Fiji where you are, and there is a new president.
That's right. Today in the Parliament, there was a special sitting to formalize the nomination and therefore the election of Ratu Naingama Lalambalavu. He is the paramount chief of the northern province of Vakundrove, but also head of one of the three main confederacies that leads the political and the leadership structure of the indigenous people. Ratu Naingama has been now elected to the position and will be sitting in the presidency by the end of November or early December. But he's not without controversy, Grace. There are a lot of opposition. There's a lot of civil society and human rights activists calling for a change in that nomination, but that has not occurred because today Ratu Naingama Lalambalavu will become Fiji's next president in a few short weeks.
Okay, Lice Monovo in Suva, thanks very much.
Avinaka Valevu.